on the Brewery Bunch. Matt and Molly take a ride out to the Broken Bow Brewery, located in the lovely town of Tuckahoe, New York, to get an inside look on the family business and tradition of their unique brand.
Lyle, Christine, thank you very much for having us at your beautiful brewery.
Well, you're welcome, Matt. And Molly, good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
So would you like a tour?
I'm ready.
Definitely.
Once inside, Lyle and Kristen entertain Matt and Molly with the history of the Broken Bow Brewery.
You know, Matt, I knew when we walked in that this place was really special. You could just feel all the love between the family, and they really take tremendous pride in their brewery.
Oh, it's an amazing family. Very knowledgeable, very helpful. It was a tremendous experience and one that I'll look back on for a long time.
This is the genesis of our can program at Broken Bow. Why cans instead of bottles? The hottest growing segment of the craft industry, which is a hot industry in the first place, is the can segment. Scientists came up with this great polymer coating. It's on the inside of the can, so you no longer get that metallic taste, but what you also don't get is any sunlight on the beer itself, so the beer stays fresher, longer. But sunlight is an enemy of beer. You have a yeast involved, it's a living organism. The beer gets skunked otherwise. So now that scientists have come up with the solution, cans in the craft beer industry, big hit.
Most experts will tell you that canning is better than bottling for beers because cans are opaque, they're factory sealed and lined, which means they don't let any oxygen or light into the beer, which could skunk your product.
What I really enjoy is working with my family and doing something that's very enjoyable for me as well as fun. Who doesn't like beer? So we get to work together. If it's a good day, a bad day, or somewhere in between, at the end of the day we get to have beers together.
Independent brewcrafting has soared to new heights these days, with an interest from the smallest of operations to the larger community efforts. It seems as though the public thirsts for a new inventive beer to pair with their foods, instead of just the conventional store-bought products that are available to the consumer at their local vendor shops.
So this is where the magic starts at Broken Bow Brewery. Everything is done by us from scratch. It's the only way we're comfortable with the quality of our beer.
All brewers use the same main 4 ingredients to make beer, which are water, hops, malted barley, and yeast. In Germany, there's even a law protecting these ingredients, the German Purity Law of 1516. With just those 4 ingredients, you can produce some of the finest beers in the world.
What's in beer?
There are 4 main ingredients in craft beer. Now, in the craft world, there's a million ingredients now. A lot of creativity, but you'll find 4 in all of them.
After meeting Lyle and Kristen and the rest of the family at Broken Bow, I was so incredibly impressed with the process, and I really have a newfound respect for what goes into making craft beers.
One of them we mentioned when we're talking about the cans, so you'll find yeast. You'll find water. We're actually here in Tuckahoe because of the quality of New York City tap. You've got grain, or malt, which is, for us, barley malt, the primary, although a little wheat, a little corn from time to time. And then lastly, you have hops, or some sort of preservative. So yeast, water, malt, hops.
It was really interesting to find out that the 4 main ingredients that are used are actually common in all craft beers.
In fact, that large bag is a little over, it's about 2,200 pounds of pale barley malt. So that is one of the base malts. We usually go through about 5,000 or 6,000 pounds of grain each week here, and it all is donated to Hilltop Farm, which keeps us in sort of a virtuous cycle. Feeds animals, helps other plants grow. We feel very good about that.
Molly, did you see how environmentally friendly Broken Bow was, how they recycled most of the material?
It's great to see people reuse materials.
It is.
We actually received a Green Medallion Award from the county, which was awesome. Aside from giving back to Hilltop, a lot of what you'll find in here is either recycled or repurposed. If you go into the tasting room, we made the bar from recycled products. A lot of the pallets that come through here will turn into artwork. So there's a ton in every room that you'll see that we've either recycled or redone or we've used.
Really haven't seen businesses recycle material and construct it into their brewery. I mean, it was amazing, let alone any other type of business.
Yeah, they're really so generous and conscientious because they actually also donate up to 6,000 pounds of that grain to Hilltop Farm every week, which is amazing.
Oh, I think so.
So the past couple of years had given us many challenges, but it's all worth it by being able to work with my family. I'm just amazed every day with all the talents. A lot of people wonder if we get along, and amazingly we do. We love working with each other. We do have our fights sometimes, but it's always at the end of the day, we're friends and we're family.
Early to bed, early to rise. The Lamoth family's values and bond help get them through the ups and downs of working in a business where the art of depending on your coworkers is always crucial to the quality of the final product. And now, a trip to the brew house at the Broken Bow with Lyle and Kristen.
So you had mentioned the Russian Imperial Stout. Is that a beer you have all the time?
Actually, no. This is one of our specialty beers. About 4 times a year we bottle. This one's particularly special because this is for our anniversary, which we are celebrating our 2nd in August.
Happy birthday, Broken Bow.
Russian Imperial Stouts are basically the king of stout beers, with a high alcohol content, a strong malt backbone, and huge roasty flavors. These beers are used by brewers today to pay homage to brewers in the 1800s in Russia who had to please their czars.
Mike's up there, my son, our head brewer. He's brewing a Russian Imperial Stout. As you said, it'll be about a 9-point ABV beer. It was very popular last year. It was known by the name Broken Inn.
As Lyle took Matt and Molly through the tour of the brew house, he explained the process of brewing their beer and all the steps it takes to master their craft.
This is the brew house. It's 3 pieces primarily of equipment. The large one is called a mash tun. So back to what we said on the other side, you see the white pipe on top, the auger. It finishes. Mike allows all of the grain to flow through the top.
When I first met Mike, I instantly got the impression that he's a very hard worker and extremely passionate about his craft. He obviously is the head brewer for a reason. It just proves to me the amount of dedication it takes to own and operate a successful brewery such as theirs.
Underneath, we've got an area or container that holds a lot of very hot, steamy water. You've got grain, cereal grains in effect, barley, that are being steamed from below and steeped with water from above, called watering is the term. And at any rate, on the top part we also have a series of rakes that turn slowly. So think about a bowl of oatmeal. If you put it in and you poured your water and milk right over the top, it would cascade down the side, the middle would stay dry.
The brewing process varies greatly depending on what kind of beer you're trying to make. Ales or top fermented beers can take anywhere from 2.5 to 4 weeks to brew, and usually are brewed at around room temperature. Lagers, which are bottom fermented beers, can take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks and are generally brewed at colder temperatures and stored at colder temperatures.
What the rakes do, again back to the green award that Kristen mentioned, we really try to be efficient with our grain, use it well. So it turns, all the grain gets involved. After about a couple of hours, that clear water on the bottom has now been converted to wort. It's a very sweet liquid and a lot of sugar. Remember, we're creating sugar from the grain. It's in the bottom. Mike will then transfer from the bottom over to the boil kettle. On the days that we brew, everyone on Marbledale Road thinks that there's a bakery on the street because it smells like bread as it vents out. And for a couple more hours, they will continue to basically distill that wort until Casey, my 3rd child, who runs our lab, tells us we have enough bricks of sugar.
So a lot of people usually ask me, is this what you went to school for? I have a bunch of science degrees, and usually you don't start freshman year thinking, hey, I want to do quality control. You think, I want to do quantity control of beer, and how much can I drink, how quick? So I went through the 4 years, and by the end of it, I got hooked by my brother, and I like brewing, and I like coming up with different pairings and recipes, and I kind of took it from there and tried to figure out different quality control tests that I could do.
Can you imagine waking up to a room full of thousands of beers every day?
Well, I can certainly say it must be a rewarding job at the end of the day.
Nothing like a little science to add to the preparation and anticipation of great beer.
But I always like to pause here when we're on tours because this is a very unique aspect of Broken Bow Brewery. My daughter Casey, who has a degree in biomedical engineering, is actually running tests. We have our own quality control lab on site. And so she can check everything from the health of the yeast from batch to batch for consistency. So she tests to make sure that all sanitary levels, everything in the process is very clean and pure, and just the process of the beer as it finishes. So this helps our consistency. I call it a secret weapon.
To the best of my knowledge, most breweries don't have a specific scientific laboratory on site.
I would say all craft breweries test, but very few have this kind of a setup in the lab that I'm aware of. Usually you'll find it more at a larger commercial type or one of the really large craft brew names. So we're fortunate. It's nice that we've got a biomedical engineer graduate.
Big deal. Easy degree, right?
Easy degree. Did it in one weekend.
Obtaining a degree in biomedical engineering is no easy task. And most breweries don't even have a lab aspect inside of their business, and I think that's really what sets Broken Bow apart from others.
This is our cellar area, and on this side you're going to see our fermenters, which we described for the brewing process. This is where the beer will sit and ferment.
No time to rest. Fermentation is a constant 24/7 activity at the Broken Bow Brewery.
And then when it's done, we will move it over to this side, and these are our bright tanks, and this is where the beer matures. And over here we have Sophia right now doing a gravity test.
Well, what is a gravity test?
The gravity, you're calculating how much sugar is in the beer and determining how much alcohol is being produced. You see how much sugar is in the beer in the beginning and how much is at the end, and with that you know the alcohol level.
The sugar content of your favorite alcoholic beverage just may surprise you. By performing a gravity test in the lab, the brewers can better determine the alcohol content in their beer. The yeast eats the sugar, and that produces more alcohol, resulting in the addition of more sugar to make up for the loss. So don't be surprised when those 8% alcohol content beers make you feel sick after a fun night.
I see Japanese letters on some of these tanks. Can you tell me about that?
So all of the equipment you've seen today is German. It's called a beering system, named after the company Beering. This particular equipment hasn't been made for about 35, 40 years by that manufacturer, but my son Mike is very particular. He knew exactly the equipment he wanted. All of this happened to exist in a town 2 hours north of Tokyo in Hime, Japan. Mike and I flew over, we inspected the equipment, and we put it on cargo ships, brought it back to America through the port. It was delivered here, you guessed it, via UPS. We actually then unloaded the trucks and assembled it here. So we left the lettering on as homage to the folks that had the equipment before us.
Now, getting there wasn't as easy as you thought it would be, was it?
It was not easy. On takeoff, as we were flying to Tokyo, the plane that we were on actually lost an engine. This was about 3 years ago. So this may have been the story that almost wasn't, but thank goodness the pilot was able to dump all the fuel, bring us back to the ground, and we took off the next day.
And you lived to tell the tale.
Lived to tell the tale.
What really got me was when Lyle mentioned how the plane lost an engine on takeoff. My jaw dropped. They still managed to make it all the way to Japan in one piece and still accomplish their goal. That to me is just a real remarkable family story.
Okay, so by this point in the tour, usually our guests are dehydrated. So it's probably time to stop talking about making beer and actually tasting some. Are you interested?
I'm excited.
Never ask.
Let's go to the tasting.
This offer was too good to pass up, and exactly what Matt and Molly had in mind.
Always a lot easier when you're working inside your passion, and it started for me as a passion about 10 or 15 years ago, and I slowly started dragging the rest of the family into it, and now everyone has a passion for beer as well as their particular side of the business, which makes it a lot more fun. It's easier to go to work when you really have a passion for what you're doing.
When Casey and I were talking, we were joking constantly that the family is a bunch of overachievers because they really do everything to perfection. Like the mom has hops plants growing up the side and everything just has to be perfect. There's not enough for them to do. They got to add more and they got to do everything 100%. It was just really hilarious.
It was, I'll tell you, the most incredible family, and I'll say it 100 times. They're very helpful, and they're willing to sort of instruct you on anything.
Finally, after a long day of getting to know the family and the operation that goes on behind the scenes, Matt and Molly get the chance to enjoy the refreshing taste of Broken Bow's finest beer selections.
So thank you guys so much for coming, and we look forward to having you guys back.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Wow. That is amazing.
Next stop for Matt and Molly is an American Bistro located in Tuckahoe, New York. Here are some tips when pairing food with beer. Most importantly, keep strength with strength. In other words, make sure you match the intense flavors in your beer of choice with the same strength as the meal you've chosen. Sweet, calm, sweet, allowing the other flavors to come out. Bitter, calm, sweet. Having that bitter taste in your beer or food will calm the sweetness in it. Acidic, calm salt. Acid cuts right through the salt and balances out its strong punch. And now, Matt and Molly sit down with the lovely Denise Horton.
We're at a beautiful restaurant in Tuckahoe, New York, an American Bistro with the owner, Denise. Thank you very much for having us here today.
Our pleasure.
And we've also got Casey and the Broken Bow family here to explain the pairings that will go with our food. Matt, have you ever been a part of beer and food pairing before?
Have you seen this body? Of course I have.
Pablo, would you like to bring out the first course?
First up, beer battered crab cakes, an American Bistro favorite.
All right, we've got a beer battered crab cake, Maine lump crab meat, and ginger citrus slaw. We've paired it with our first delicious beer. Why don't you guys tell me about it?
Yeah, so we paired it with our red ale. We actually used the APA in the crab cake, but the red pairs very well because of kind of the biscuity breadiness. The chipotle aioli brings out a lot of spiciness that the red kind of complements.
Well, let's get started. I'm excited.
All right, dig in, everybody.
This one was amazing. The spices, the blend of ingredients. I mean, I'm even tasting it right now.
I eat the food all the time, so I'll go from here.
It's good to find commonalities in beer pairing as well. Say a spicy Thai dish with a spicy pale ale. The idea is that there's a pleasant balance between the two. The opposite approach can suggest that contrasting flavors are pleasing in a yin-yang sort of way. So a dry, bitter stout classically pairs with sweet, fresh oysters. Sweet and salty always work.
Denise had to show the cast exactly how to dig into these voluptuous and delicious meals. After a long day of filming, the cast and crew were more than happy to enjoy their first meal of the day, prepared by the 5-star chef, Robert.
I mean, it's got a little sweetness to it. Crab meat, it goes really well with a hoppy beer.
This was an incredible experience.
Was this an organized thing or was this you having food and beer?
You know what? I'll tell you the truth, it was just me having food and beer, but you know, the organized thing was incredible, matter of fact. And I'll tell you, I'll do that again.
Next up, Pablo brings the soft-shell crab meal to the table to everyone's delight.
All right, so this is a soft shell crab. It's done with a blood orange vinaigrette and gazpacho salsa on top.
We are going to pair this with the Broken Auger Lager, and the lager is kind of a lighter beer. So the blood orange, the light fruity citrusy part kind of pairs really well with it. Nature of the entire dish also kind of brings out the toasted flavors of the lager.
Generally speaking, most people choose lighter beers to pair with their food. If you're in the mood for beer, lagers and pilsners pair well with anything, though it goes best with garlic-heavy foods such as Italian and Spanish cuisines or Mexican and South Asian food.
It's got a little nuttiness to it, especially in the farro with the vegetables. The mirepoix, it's just little onions, and so it gets that like nutty flavor, which goes really well.
Exactly.
Cut and crunch.
Cut and crunch was certainly the motto for the soft shell dish. Denise had no problem showing her guests her experience in this task.
And it's the season, it's getting to be summertime. It's all about soft shell crab and outdoor food and just that whole summery.
Yeah.
This looks so good.
Yeah, right? Wow. The colors of this dish are beautiful.
All right, guys, dig in.
Another 5-star meal by Robert Horton leaves the cast and crew mesmerized.
And it's crunchy, so you get the softness of the beer and the crunchiness of the food. So you're trying to, when pairing items, you want to make them opposites. You're not trying to go for the match.
Pairing, much like wine pairing, is a practical skill. You're going to use well-carbonated beers which are naturally refreshing, and you serve them with rich food. Likewise, dry IPA can cut through the heat when you're tackling spicy foods. All in all, you should definitely remember that light beers are going to go with lighter dishes, and heartier beers are going to go with heartier dishes.
Right. And then the other thing is too, it's like anything else. You drink what you like and you eat what you like at the end of the day.
The third dish is a flat iron steak for a tasty supply of protein and succulent juices.
This is our flat iron steak, and it's grilled with portobello mushrooms and a gorgonzola parsley butter with a roasted corn potato souffle. And what are we pairing this with?
We are pairing it with the Marbledale American Pale Ale, which pairs really well with red meats.
And this is a great steak to do on the grill because it doesn't have a lot of fat on it, so it cooks quickly. And it's summertime, so everybody wants to be out there grilling and chilling and doing things. So
Now, is this like a flank steak?
It's a flat iron steak. It's from the flank. It's a little bit lower down, and it's reasonably priced. For those people that really like filet mignon and things like that, it's kind of another alternative.
Something fried or a steak, it's incredible in my book. And I will tell you one thing, the steak was amazing. It was cooked just right. I like my steaks cooked medium rare, and I'll tell you, it was cooked medium rare. Kudos to Denise, because her and her husband have a great bistro. Oh, this looks so great. A little black and blue, I love it.
Not only does an American bistro give you the flat iron steak to entertain your taste buds, but the price is surprisingly reasonable and appreciated by all their patrons.
That is so tender. That is nice.
Yeah, it's a great steak to cook. And again, like you said, black and blue, I recommend keeping it rare. Just because it's thin, it doesn't have a lot of fat, so it'll cook really quickly.
Molly, I know you don't eat steak, but it was incredible.
Yeah, the mushrooms and the potatoes were really to die for.
You know what? They were very good. As a matter of fact, everything on that plate was incredible.
I could have a whole plate of just the mushrooms and potatoes.
To tell you the truth, I think I even licked the plate at the end.
Yeah, I think I saw you do that.
Well, hey, gotta do what you gotta do to keep this figure going.
And I'm curious, I think a lot of times you think beer and meat, but there are so many other flavors and other sides. I mean, even the mushrooms, the potatoes just pair phenomenally with the beer. And I think sometimes it's the texture, the color, the flavors, and what's your opinion?
Absolutely, you want to engage every single sense that you can. So the steak has got that, meaty, earthy flavor, then you've got a nice cold beer, then you've got the mushrooms which are earthy. The gorgonzola butter has a little bit of salt in it, so you're getting salty and then you're getting creamy from the potato. So you've got kind of every texture going on, and it keeps your mouth happy.
Last but not least, a scrumptious dessert to finish off a great meal. The award-winning chocolate pillow tart.
All right, this is our last and best, of course, dessert. And who would have thought that beer would go with chocolate?
Yeah.
To me, everything goes with chocolate, but that's...
Everything goes with beer.
Okay.
Spoken from a brewery owner.
That's the right way to look at it. That's the right way to look at it.
It's a perfect relationship.
Beer and chocolate pair together exceptionally. When most people think of pairing chocolates, they think of wines. But beer can be just as good of a pairing with chocolates, if not better. Whether you're choosing a pure raspberry ale to pair with milk chocolate, or a crisp, tart Belgian Kriek to pair with dark chocolate, either way, the outcome is golden.
So this is a chocolate phyllo tart with whipped cream and fresh berries. And what are we drinking with this?
So we have our Broken Heart Stout with this. And the stout is a lighter bodied stout. It's very sessionable, and so it makes it a awesome pairing.
I love chocolate.
I thought you like everything fried and steaks.
And chocolate.
You just like food.
I just chocolate.
They saved the best for last, chocolate. I would have never thought that beer went with chocolate. That sounds crazy. But believe me when I tell you that it was amazing. It was the perfect touch to a wonderful day.
Chocolate.
The chocolate and beer pairing was a huge success and left the cast and crew too busy for words as they were caught up in a delightful indulgence and left them speechless.
I'll just keep the plate for myself. No problems, is it, Denise?
Not at all.
Oh, good, good.
So you're being a total gentleman.
I tried.
It's amazing how a beer not make it, but
Right.
this is amazing.
It really brings out that chocolate flavor. Yeah.
What an amazing dessert. Yeah.
Now, thanks for coming.
Well, thank you for having us.
Our pleasure. We just did this great interview with Broken Bow and tasting. It was amazing. We're very proud to be here in Tuckahoe celebrating our 23rd year of business with my husband Robert the chef, and we love working with them. They are phenomenal, and we're really grateful to have them in the town with us. Looking forward to the next 23 years, if that's what it takes.
Thank you to Denise from An American Bistro and to the Broken Bow Brewery. And everything that we've learned today was amazing. We really enjoyed it, and I think we had a great time. And we just really appreciate you having us.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Robert Horton was amazing. What a great chef. And Denise, she was an amazing hostess for us. She was funny, articulate, one of the most memorable people I've ever met. Just a say it straight in your face type of person. Great personality, and I'll tell you one thing, I'll be going back there again and again and again.
She was hilarious. I'm pretty sure I spit out my beer laughing.
Oh, I did too. I ate a lot, but then, I ate a lot.
Out of the nose.
Oh, yeah. It was a good time. It was, you know what?
Good combo.
It was a good combo, and you know what? I think we learned a lot, met some great people, and I'll tell you one thing, you can't get any better than that.
It was a really awesome day.
It was.